Hump Day. Cindy, greetings. Darren, hello to you, sir. And Bob, welcome aboard. We all miss you. Is that me? You miss me? I'm glad. You had sunshine and 60s today, pick. Awesome. That is really nice. Andrew, terrific Tuesday to you, and welcome aboard, as they say. So I've got the Bible story, which I've read. Man, now that I've been going chronological or in the Bible in the order that they're telling them, it's even more confusing. I find the Bible more, not less confusing that I'm reading it in order. Reunited, and it feels pretty okay, Scott. Yeah, well, that's the best we could do. Laura, hello. Anyone have a good food recommendations for Gulfport or Biloxi? Wow, I'm gonna go for any kind of soul food, anything down there in Biloxi. I can't remember where I worked at a casino down there, and I can't remember the name of it, but the restaurant on the top floor of the casino, believe it or not, was delicious. And it's not a horrific casino. It's a very nice view up there too. So I recommend the casino in Biloxi, and I know there's more than one, but this would be probably a 14-story tall one. It's got a view of the Gulf, lovely restaurant on top. Yeah, go for it. It's the one where they have stand-up comedy, if that's helpful. Although they don't have any stand-up comedy right now. Snowing there, Bob. Oh, 8 degrees. Yeah, I'm glad that I'm not experiencing that. David, also snow. 67 in Austin. Boy, I read something on the internet about a guy who moved from California to Austin, didn't care for it, and moved back. How about that? Keith, you turned the AC on a couple days ago in Florida. Well, you do what you want in Florida. That's one of the things that you can like about Florida. You can do what you want to down there. Cindy just finished another documentary about the Titanic. Is anyone else simply obsessed with that tragedy? Well, yeah, it's an interesting one, the Titanic. Lady Jerry and I are watching a movie. It's an Indian from India movie called White Tiger on Netflix, and we're quite enjoying it. We got a half hour to go tonight, but I'm recommending it prematurely. Is it the Beau Rivage that's right across the street from your hotel? I can't remember, Laura, and I'm sorry about that, but it's basically it could very easily be. I'm sorry, but if there's a restaurant up on top, give it a try and have the fish that's crusted with something in a creamy sauce. That's what I'm recommending. Oh dearie. I got 1.5 inches in Buffalo, no sledding this winter. Oh, spring like in Dallas. Well, there's nothing like springtime in Dallas. I'm obsessed, Bob. Bob, the Shackleton Expedition. I'm obsessed with that also, Bob. The book that came out, it's got to be 10, 15 years ago now, but the book that's it's a compilation of the diaries of the men who were on the expedition put together. That book was great about Shackleton, and if you don't know the story of Ernest Shackleton, man, what an amazing story. I mean, that's from those times. Those are some of my favorite stories, those great adventure stories, and that was back when you could just be to be an astronaut now, it's a lot of training and weeding out, and it's very difficult that could happen. But to be on that Shackleton expedition, well, it's interesting when in this book they talked about how he chose the men, which is what enabled him to do what he was able to do, which is guide them to safety after over a year trapped in the ice. It's an amazing story. But you could just be a regular guy and go in for a job interview and have an adventure like that. Keys, you're saying, yeah, it's weird, but Austinites don't care much for Californians. They blame them for the insane home prices. Yeah, that happened in Seattle and Portland as well. And it's sort of a funny thing because it's usually someone who's blaming you for the insane home prices, but it's also someone who owns a home. Like, wait, let me get this straight. You're mad at me because your house is now worth another $100,000. It seems like you'd be grateful, but anyway. Shaggy's Biloxi Beach heard food is good, Darren. Yeah, well, there you go. We're really getting a lot out of the show here today. 2020 program repeat on the History Channel with James Cameron. Oh, that's about the Titanic. Yeah, that's got to be interesting. you want to visit Shackleton's grave on South Georgia Island, one of the greatest leaders of all time. Yeah, Bob, you're right. That it's an amazing story. The way he gets those men to follow him. They spend a year trapped on the boat, camping on the ice, and then when it's clear that the boat won't free up, they just take off across the ice with their sled dogs. And when they get to the edge of the ice, basically he goes, okay, we're going to eat the dogs and get in the boats and sail open ocean, longest voyage ever to get to this island. It's unbelievable that they kept following him, and they all survived. Really amazing. Smart News Today has a list of the 26 best documentaries on Netflix. Oh, I'll have to check that out, Jen. Jeff, welcome aboard. Good to see you. Was it the Shackleton story where they had to kill a guy because he wouldn't stop eating the food? No, they didn't kill anybody on that Shackleton trip. And what they survived was unbelievable. Leopard seals. Let me tell you this. If you're ever up against leopard seals, look out, because those guys are a-holes. All right, it's time for the Bible story. We're 7 minutes into this Tuesday show, and I don't know what I was thinking. Today's Bible story is Jacob's return. And man, it's this amazing illustration here. I don't know if you could see it, but you know, what the hell's going on here with these two guys here in sort of a blacky purpley color here. Jacob, I seen Revenant. What a story of perseverance. DiCaprio deserved an Oscar for that one. Yeah, Revenant was a great film. I suggest, Andrew, that you check out some of the books on Ernest Shackleton. All right, so here we go. After the birth of Joseph, so Jacob has gone off to visit his uncle, his mom's brother, Laban, and then wound up marrying his two daughters, and the plain one and the beautiful one. And then he's had a kid named that he named Joseph, by the beautiful Rachel, I believe it is. And now it's time. He's been there for a while. So after the birth of Joseph, Jacob decided it was time to leave Laban, his father and his uncle, who was becoming jealous of his skills as a shepherd and his growing wealth, even though Laban set him up, and he's getting what Laban is jealous. He's the older man, and this guy's married to his two daughters. There's some jerk behavior back in the Bible time. Really? You're jealous of your nephew who's married to your two daughters? This is ridiculous. So he sends a message to Esau, his brother, who he cheated out of his birthright, his twin brother, to say that he was on his way back home and that he hoped Esau would look favorably on him, and then taking with him his wives and children, all his servants, his herds and flocks, he started out for Canaan. Almost at once, word came that Esau was coming to meet him with a force of 400 men. That sounds like a good welcoming party. Keys, I want to talk to you about Pretend It's a City. Sorry if you're just listening to the audio of this, it's a bit confusing. I fear from this that he means to attack, said Jacob, and prayed to God to save him. He divided his own company into two parts so that if Esau did attack, at least half would escape. Then he chose a large number of cattle, camels, and donkeys to give to his brother. See, after he steals his birthright, and he's gotten rich at his uncle's house, now he's like, no, maybe I don't need my birthright. In fact, I'm going to give you some of the stuff that I've got, I think. Who knows how this is going to wind up. Well, I know how today's story is going to wind up because I've read it already. Okay, so he's got some presents for Esau. That evening, Jacob sent all the men, women, and children together with his possessions across the Jabbok River so that he might have some time alone. Nothing like a little time alone before you're reunited with your brother who you cheated out of his birthright. But this is, mind you, this has got to be more than 14 years ago because that's how long he had to work to pay off the daughters. Suddenly, and from nowhere, a stranger appeared and began to wrestle with him. All night they fought in silence. Now, this is, I don't know that I want to wrestle with a stranger, but I would love to be able to go back to the jiu-jitsu gym and do some wrestling. So this sounds good to me, but it's sort of weird. You're on a camp out, you want some time alone, and some stranger shows up and just starts wrestling with you all night. At dawn, the stranger said, "It's now morning and I must leave. Tell me, what's your name?" Holy cow. All night you're wrestling with this guy. You don't bother to ask him his name. "My name is Jacob." "Ah, you shall not be called Jacob any longer, but Israel, for you have struggled with God and with men, and you have prevailed." And with that, the stranger was gone. As the sun rose and light returned to the fields, Jacob realized that he had come face to face with God. Face to face. And also back to front, probably, if they were wrestling all night. That happens from time to time. And I don't know how, this God is he's burying cities in rubble and blowing up mountains, but he has trouble. Jacob gave him a hard time with the grappling. God's very new to grappling. Anyway, he had hardly caught up with his people when they saw a cloud of dust on the road, signaling the approach of Esau and his 400 men. Holy crap! I'm in no shape to fight my twin brother right now. I spent all wrestling with God. Forward, then bowed down before his brother Esau. Esau threw his arms around him and kissed him, and they both wept. Thank goodness, because Jacob is in no condition for a fight right now. "Welcome, brother," Esau said. "You and yours are welcome home." So there's nothing like 14 years and your brother is effed off after he cheated you out of your birthright. So Esau's ready to welcome him home. Now going to be called Israel, which is going to be confusing later when they name a country that. But he spent a night wrestling with God, and I don't know that I've spent some nights wrestling with God, but this pandemic, man, every once in a while I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, oh God, I can't believe I have to go back to sleep. I can't sleep anymore. I'm tired of the sleeping. Anyway, let's go back. Keys, you say you just finished watching Pretend It's a City. I wanted to watch that, but Fran Lebowitz is a bit frustrating to me. For those of you who don't know, it's a documentary. Martin Scorsese is interviewing Fran Lebowitz about New York City. Oh, see you, Cindy, you're saying you finished it too, found it depressing? Yeah, well, I don't need that. That's enough for me. You guys saved me an evening with Lady Jerry, getting bummed out. We'll watch this after the pandemic. Maybe. We'll see. Dave, you've had a hard night, like wrestling with God all night? Yeah, haven't we all? Especially during this pandemic. That's what I'm saying. Seems like it would have been easier for all the people to stay and Jacob to go off alone for a time. Yeah, it would have been picked, but that's not how they always do it in the Bible. A lot of times they do it the hard way. Dave, you got him with the pile driver off the top rope. Yeah, even God doesn't see the pile driver off the top rope coming. And then the chair. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you've ever hit one with a folding chair, but it's not. Somebody asked me that the other day. It was a guy, another grown man, but he was a wrestling fan when he was a kid. And he said, you ever hit anybody with a chair? You ever get hit with a chair? Because that's what he and his brothers or friends did when they were kids. I was like, no, I didn't. He goes, it hurts. So this just in. I feel like I knew that without having to experience it. Jen, you're saying you'd have leaned a bit more negative on Fran Lebowitz. She is negative. I have found when I was younger some of her sarcastic, put-downy meanness to be funny, but I think that's behind me now, and it's not behind her. She's still going for it. She's found her wheelhouse, and she's in there swinging. And the groundhog never saw his shadow again. That's right, Michael. Jen, fun fact. It is a fun fact. You've been hit with a metal folding chair? Oh, I hope not by your husband. That's a bad story. I'm gonna pretend that I didn't even say that. All right. So I've got today's letter from Grandma. Let me tell you something. I thought there were more letters from Grandma left than there are. There's this one from today. I've got the Grandma and a Charlotte in the same envelope, and then I'm afraid we've got one more next week, and then we're going to be on repeats of the Grandma and Charlotte's. Anyway, today's letter from Grandma is from February 17th, 1990. So I was on this day in February of 1990, I was 29, but I turned 30 in 1990. She's saying, dear me and Diane, who I've told you about already a little bit here. A happy birthday to Diane. Was shoveling snow. It began snowing Wednesday when we were at Ladies' Aid. We had a pretty table. So they're at Ladies' Aid February 17th. It started snowing. We had a pretty table, bouquet, red and white, fresh flowers, red plates, nuts, a mint, and a white, then a red heart at the center. Nice meat sandwich, salad, fresh greens, slice of dill pickle, red fruit juice, coffee, and water. And good luck getting a meal as delicious as that down in Biloxi. I hope you can do better than that. I received a Valentine from Sue. It sounds on TV like they had a lot of snow in Chicago. So Sue's lived in Chicago. Diane's birthday, okay. Different people have said they have stayed up and watched me, Jake, and they just wish he was on earlier. And she's put he was on earlier in quotes because I was on Letterman, so it's late at night. They like him. It is so windy today. Flag Earl Kroger, that's their neighbor across the street, has on a tall pole is just blowing and shaking the pole. A neighbor came over and climbed on the roof and was cleaning out the straw and nesting material they, starlings, I suppose, had put in this pipe. Best wishes to you both. Love, Grandma. So that's from Grandma. Okay, before we get to Charlotte here, what do we got? Rich, you fell down upstairs and hit a metal folding chair. That sounds like a tough injury. Jen saying I was some psycho high school girl. Oh God, what happened? Some high school psycho girl hit you with a chair. God, you're pretty sure you ended her. I don't doubt it. Planning ahead here, Scott, you're saying if Mardi Gras is a bust this year, is Valentine's Day still going to be a thing? Asking for a friend. Yeah, we're still going to do Valentine's Day, I guess. But I don't... Mardi Gras, well, we're still going to have Mardi Gras, whether it's Mardi Gras parades or not. It's like Easter and Christmas. It happens. In fact, it's a part of Easter, kind of. Anyway, I'm a little confused about what's going on in the chat. Okay. Keys, you saying you once followed a kid that was bullying you into the bathroom and punched him in the mouth as he stepped up to the urinal. Nice. Yeah. That's one of the rules of fighting is you want to hit first and have it be unexpected. All right. Charlotte's saying, this is again from March 12th, 1990. Meant to get a Valentine off to you and happy birthday to Diane. Grandma has had a letter written to you for some time, but I never got around to addressing the envelope. We hope you had a nice Valentine's, a happy birthday on the 17th, and now we wish you a happy St. Patrick's Day. Might as well throw in Easter, Memorial Day, and the 4th of July too. We'll wait with the Christmas wishes. That's Charlotte. She's a real card. Grandma is pretty good. She walks with a walker. She's 92. We saw you on the David Letterman show. That was a nice article by Bob Newhart in the March 10th to 16th TV guide about you. Bob Newhart said some nice things about me back in 1990 in the TV guide, if you can remember that. We used to have a magazine that told us what was on TV. Now we've got a Facebook chat and we can still barely figure it out. Pauline gave us a copy of the article, that's my mom, about Diane's jewelry, and then another article about my comedy. We've had 68-degree weather today. Unbelievable! Last Monday, Des Moines had an ice storm and 91,000 homes were without electricity for several days. David Kroger was home last week, and he's moving to Minneapolis. He's 34 years old. If you're ever in this area, let us know and we'll get you if you have the time. You're always welcome here. Mother, Grandma, has written a check for you for Valentine's and the birthday, and you can divide it. Hope all is going well. We'd like to hear from you. Love, Charlotte, and Grandma. So that's your letter from Grandma and Charlotte for today. I hope you enjoyed that. Next week is our last letter in this envelope, so we'll have to start over after that. And I got to tell you, next week there's a photo of Charlotte in front of their house. And so I'll read that letter next week, and then I'll post that photo in the group chat if you're interested. A lot of talks about how you can attack someone at a urinal. That's nice. Starlings are one of the, if not the most invasive, destructive species brought to the U.S. They love airplane engines. Well, that's not good for starlings, and it's not good for airplanes. All right. Darren, you're saying you feel very vulnerable at the urinal. Just thought you'd share that. Yeah, I have to say I do too. I'm always keeping an eye out for people coming up behind me, because man, they just smash your head into the wall. That's terrible. Pick, you're saying, I remember all the local Mardi Gras stuff being canceled last year. That was the start of the pandemic. Yeah. Andrew, you're saying I should get one of those heart-shaped pizzas for Lady Jerry for Valentine's Day. Very romantic. Yeah, I bet it is. Heart-shaped pizza, this is not going to happen. And I don't think it's going to work on her. How many people got killed by floats last year, if that wasn't an omen for 2020? How many people got killed by floats? Are you talking about parade floats or ice cream floats? Root beer floats. There you go. Don, you're saying, howdy, late today, just got back from getting the 7-year-old a Varinus test. Yeah, well, how'd it go, Don? I hope he's Varinus free. Well, I guess you don't know right now, do you? There, we've had our letter from Grandma. We've had our the fun meter. Let's check that. Ooh, it's okay. We're right on the edge between medium and good fun. I went out this morning to the coffee place I like to go to meet my friend, and we didn't have to stand on the sidewalk. They had set up tables on the sidewalk, and the guy who owned the place, who's also now a friend of mine, the local coffee spot at around 22nd Street and 22nd and Pico, on Pico. So they had tables set up outside, and the owner told me that outdoor dining is back on in Santa Monica. But then we went by our COVID distribution center here, the local bar where I like to go for a burger during the day. It's not so crowded during the day, but when you go down there at night, you're like, that's where you go to get COVID for shizzy. I walked by there today to see if they were open for burgers, because that's where Christella and I like to go have a burger during the day, and there was nobody eating on the street. But that was some possible good news. Yeah, Don, 24 to 72 hours for the results. Okay, Don, well, keep me posted on that, and I hope your son is fine. Obviously, we all hope that. Not to be a downer, but did anyone catch this BBC NOLA music doc? No, I didn't. Let me click on that just to see. On Ragbri, they put Mardi Gras beads on roadkill. Well, one day I hope to go on Ragbri. I'm just checking this click to the BBC documentary, the year the music stopped. Oh, dearie. Well, I'm interested in watching that, but I do know that they got to be hurting down there. Andrew, you're asking for some snark? I can do some snark in a minute. I got some question from the question box. Cindy saying, so am I the only person who doesn't find a gazillion people festing in the streets and insane levels of noise appealing? Well, Cindy, yeah, I can't say that I would like it all year round. I just love, and Mardi Gras in New Orleans isn't really my thing. Jazz Fest is, but music, outside music and dancing and eating in the street and being around people for that week or two that you go down to New Orleans, I mean, it's my thing. I totally get it. I couldn't do it all the time, so I totally get that it's a little bit of a pain. But I've been out in the street come out of the bar after you're watching a great band, go out to the street for a little peace and quiet for a minute. This must have been between 2 and 3 in the morning. I'm out in the street talking to my friend Mary Jo, and from a block away I can see a giant crawfish coming at me. It was a guy in a crawfish suit by himself, not out with a friend. And it was an amazing costume. He had the two claws and the tail was down below, and he's walking, and it's this dirty red-brown crawfish walking down the street. And he got to us, he gave us a hug in the street, we danced with him a little bit, and they took off down the street. So that's what I love about New Orleans anytime, is you're out in the street. Some guy there was at home, it's 2 a.m, he's like, my God, forget about, I've been sleeping, I've been wrestling, God, I can't sleep tonight. I think I'm just gonna put on my crawfish suit and walk down to Frenchman Street, see what's going on, give some people some hugs. And that's what he did. I hope it made him happy, but it made me so happy. Just this guy is out for a walk in his crawfish suit. So that's what you go there for. Here we go. Okay. Florida's a fun state in which is why on national news, all weird stories start with a Florida man. Well, all stories in other states, California man did this. It's just that Florida men are really busy doing some pretty ridiculous, silly things. Yeah, Don, the first summer you lived in Chicago, Blues Fest in Grant Park was amazing. I bet Chicago, man, I used to love going to the Kingston Mines to hear the blues. It's kind of moved from, or changed from how it was when I first started going there, but I loved it. Ouija's saying live now in New Orleans, Cam. Oh, I'm gonna be, are you kidding me? I got that now. I'm bookmarking that because I need to be watching that all the time. Yeah, New Orleans will be back, Darren. You're right. It'll be back. You can't, New Orleans, it can take a licking and keep on ticking. That's my favorite thing about. Laura, you're saying that's the kind of stuff you love about Burning Man. Yeah, I've heard about Burning Man. I never did get down there because I always had a gig over that Labor Day weekend. New Year's Eve, they do giant bonfires along the Mississippi. Yes, Ed, we were down there for New Year's Eve last year. We went out to see one of those bonfires. They had they build the bonfires over days leading up, and then they light them on Christmas Eve. And the idea is so that Santa can find his way down through the bayou to your house. And we were at this one that was a giant alligator that they'd made out of wood and then soaked with lighter fluid. And then we're running around drunk on top of before they lit it. I was like, let's stand back when they light this thing because these boys might catch on fire. Doesn't New Orleans have a lot of haunted houses? Well, I think it does, Flavia, but that's where you go. You were nearly killed by an overwhelming crowd pick on the Brooklyn Bridge on Liberty Weekend 1986. Everyone was trying to get to the bridge to watch the Statue of Liberty centennial fireworks. Yeah, the crowd, so when the crowds press in like that, that is scary. So I understand why you might not like crowds. Oh, Michael, you're saying you like the Kingston Mines? Yeah, I had a great Kingston Mines sweatshirt that I lost. I'd love to get another Kingston Mines shirt. You probably order them online, I guess, huh? Here in Texas, they put their kids in fields of weeds and take pictures of them. Well, yeah, that's a good time. All right, I'm going to hoping they hold a Motley Crue concert in Charlotte that got canceled last year. Be back on this summer. Those old rockers don't have much time left. Motley Crue, I think, is going to be around for a few more years, but we'll see. Yeah, I can't wait to go back to Chicago too, Darren. Jeff, you're saying you were in New Orleans for New Year's 2000. The crowd was so large, you got lifted off your feet and carried a little. Yeah, that's a little bit scary. Well, New Year's Eve, and that's one of the reasons, Mardi Gras and New Year's Eve are a little maybe too intense for me, especially at my tender age. What's the strangest thing I've ever eaten? That's a question from the question. What's the strangest thing you've ever eaten? And it's got to be the fermented shark that we had when we were in Iceland. It can kill if you eat it raw, even or cooked when it's fresh. It'll kill you. They have to bury it for a year and let it ferment, and it's pretty crazy. All right. Gary, you're saying you caught my show in Chicago a couple of times. Always great. Thank you. I look forward to getting back there to the Zanies downtown and in Rosemont as soon as it's safe. So I'm getting out the Book of Snark just because, Andrew, you were asking about it. So this is some snark about movies, all right? And this is Truman Capote. It's a scientific fact. For every year a person lives in Hollywood, they lose 2 points of their IQ. Well, I don't live in Hollywood, but I live pretty close. And if that were true, I've been here for, 30 years. I feel like I'm doing pretty good. I must have started off pretty good if Truman's right about that. That's Truman Capote, everybody. All right, Mr. Predicto, will Lady Jerry be here tomorrow? Let's...
No.
Oh, I think Mr. Predicto's wrong. I think Lady Jerry will be here tomorrow. Ouija, how hungry do you have to be to eat year-old dead fish? Well, it wasn't a hunger thing. It was sort of a daredevil thing. That's why I ate it. All right, there's a lot of good Motley Crew chat. If anyone's listening to this on the podcast, you want to go check out my Facebook page, and you're a Motley Crew fan, you can find out some good stuff in there. But right now, it's time for Seize the Day. I still don't know how to hold this to get the light right that you can really... That seems pretty good. There we go. It's time for Seize the Day. So today's Seize the Day, and this is an excerpt from Seize the Day number 4, is from Joseph Campbell. And I just listened to The Power of Myth. They have the audio. I checked out the audio from his 1970s interviews with Bill Moyers. Anyway, Joseph Campbell. We cannot... Someone send Jake Someone send Jake a clothespin. What do I need a clothespin for? Well, something. I'll follow your bliss. Yes, follow your bliss, Flavia. We'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in today. Sorry, Darren. I did see that something happened with the stream. I rebooted the internet yesterday. I'm going to take my complaints to the highest authorities. I hope you guys are well. I'm about to finish a book that I'll tell you about tomorrow that I've really been enjoying, and I believe Lady Jerry will be here tomorrow. Our animal tomorrow, I don't have the piece of paper, but I have an animal for tomorrow, so there'll be an animal tomorrow. Love you all. Love to you, Jen, and everybody else. We'll see you all tomorrow. Don't give up. There'll be plenty of time to give up later. You can do this.